Okay, so first of all, this is the Automation Studio brand new interface, main interface. So you have here the main interface where you have the page. So you have the main drawing area. Okay, so that represents the Format B page. And then you also have here the Library Explorer. So we have changed the menu. As you can see, we're not using menus and toolbars anymore. We're using the new way for software to be displayed in program. We're using the new ribbons. So these menus over here are now called ribbons. So in each ribbon you have some subgroups. So the icon is the actual menu. So the icons in the menu are now called ribbons. So you have here the Home tab where you can find a lot of useful features and functions. You have in the Edit tab, you have different, as you can see, you also have different subgroups in here. And then you have the View tab. So all the function that we had, the functions and features that we had in the previous version of Automation Studio are still kept in there. It's just that you now have access to these functions going through these ribbon bars. So simulation, so same as before. We have added few other things that I might have the chance to talk today. So troubleshooting, hydraulic tester, and everything. So mainly today, I forgot to say that, but mainly today the main presentation will be done on fluid power. So it's an overview, not on all the software, but simply in fluid power. So we will basically just covering basic material that we have in Automation Studio in order for you to create a diagram. So for those of you guys who wanted to have an electrical training, we are offering this webinar at the end of the month of January. So today it's more intended for doing the basics, but in fluid power. And then following this training, we will have next week fluid power training, so you are also welcome to assist to this training as well. And then we have a fluid tab over here, and then we also have tools into which you can access some different tools that we have in the software. One of the great ones that we have is a Project Explorer. So I don't know if you were familiar with those in the past. So we have the Project Explorer here. And in the Project Explorer, you basically see what you have open. So right now, I only have one project that contains only one diagram. Okay. So again, this one can be really useful. All of those windows or managers, they can also be docked. As you can see, they can snap on any side of the screen. If you don't want them to snap, you can simply move it around and leave it open here in the air, so free wherever you want, or you can also close them, or you can also hide them by clicking on a push pin. This can also be done once the window is docked. You can also use the push pin that you have over here to make sure that the window will be auto-hiding as long as you're not using it, or you can also push on the pin to make sure that it's going to stay there all the time. From the Home menu, we are also using commonly the Library Explorer, so that's where you actually pick your components. So all the components that you have that come standards, that you have purchased as well, they will appear in here. So Automation Studio is sold by modules, so we have here the list of all the modules that we are offering in Automation Studio. What you have here is mainly the first two ones are fluid powers, and then you have electrical control for doing basic electrical. Then you have digital electronics, ladder logics, and then you have some interface cards module that you can use. Then it goes into the specific electrotechnical module, so in IEC and NEMA. And we have released, not a while ago, we have released an electrotechnical one-line module, as well as an HMI control panels. So if you want to create hydraulics diagram, you simply click here. You will see most of the usual components are shown in here. And according to the branch that you're clicking in, you'll see all the components related to this module. So, of course, if you go here, HMI control panel, this is a good it's a good add-on if you're not familiar with Automation Studio. This is a good add-on if you're creating prototyping and if you want to create nice control panel and nice animations. Okay, so for today, we'll be using almost everything that is coming from the hydraulic, some part of the electrical control JIC standard, but nothing much. So as you can see, once you click on a branch, you can see on the bottom part of the window, you can see different components. As soon as you move over these components, you have a bigger preview of what the component is. So you see a bigger preview once you roll over this component. And you can also right-click right into the bottom part, and you can also select the icon size that you want to display into the library. Now, one of the new features that we have introduced mainly with the version 6 is that we have categorized many components. So all the components now are categorized. Well, we still have these sub-branches. If you're familiar with Automation Studio, we still have those sub-branches, so those categories into which you can pick the component. But as you can see, we have also group components that have almost the same behavior. So if you would like to select something that is acting almost the same as this one, so the simulation behavior is almost the same. So all the ones that are almost the same are grouped together. As you can see, they have a blue background with a little plus sign over here on the right side. And once you double click on these ones, on these component that has that blue background, you will automatically have another window that will pop up and into which you can see different other representatives of this component. So you have other clones of these components. In all of these clones, they can also be replacing the component showing in the menu. So you can let's say you can customize by yourself. You can customize the main menu. So let's say if you want to replace this one by the one with a shaft, you can simply click on the one with the left shaft. You click on replace in main menu, and the one that is going to be showing in the main menu is this one. So any component that you pick from here will be the component that you can see. So if this is the one you want, well, you simply drag and drop this component on the schematic. If this is not the one you want, but something similar, you double click, and then you access the other window here, and then you decide which one you want to pick. Okay, and then you can drag and drop the component directly into the diagram. Okay, so what we're going to do is for the first introduction of Automation Studio, we're going to create a basic diagram. So we're going to use some of these components to create a basic diagram. So let me just start over here. I'll just make sure they'll have enough space. Okay, well, of course, as usual, you can still display the grid. So now it's a little bit different than it was before. So you can go into the View tab, and then inside the View tab, you can click to display the grid. Well, once you have the grid, you can simply drag and drop components. So I'll be dropping components right into the schematic. So let me insert a fixed displacement pump. Well, to connect these components together, we have actually many ways. So let me just drag and drop a few components here and there, and then I will show you what can we do with them. Okay, so here, directional valve, and then a cylinder. And I'm going to use a variable relief valve. There we go. So since I have all my components, many ways again to connect them together. By the way, during this presentation, you might not see it because it's shortcut keys that I'm using on the keyboard. When I'm zooming in and zooming out, I'm actually using the control key and the mouse on the wheel. So moving the mouse forward on the mouse, moving the wheel forward on the mouse, and by holding down control, I'm zooming in, and moving the mouse backward, the wheel mouse backward, I'm zooming out. Okay, so zooming in and zooming out. So I'll be using this common feature really often during the presentation. Okay, so first way to actually connect components is to overlap what we call connection ports. While those connection ports are the red circles that we find over here on each component, you have connection ports. Some of them are mechanical, so this one over here is mechanical, and some of them are hydraulic or pneumatic, so fluid power oriented connection ports. Now, if you're trying to do like funny things like this, so if you're trying to connect the mechanical port to the actual reservoir, as you can see, it connects only one side. So this line over here, if you double-click, you can see that this is an hydraulic line. So no way that you'll be able to connect this line onto the mechanical port. So even if you try, it doesn't work. Sorry. Okay, so first way to actually connect the components. You overlap these connection ports. As you can see, they change from red to black. So once you have this circle change to red to black, it means that the connection ports are properly connected. So if you move away those two components apart, you can see that a pressure line is now created in between those two components. So it creates a line in between the components. Now this is the first way how you can connect components together. Now the second way is to simply start from a location where you have a port. As you can see, the pointer is changing for a little aim. And once you have this little aim showing up, you click once. So I have one side of the line that is attached. And now you can go and connect onto another port. So you can zoom out and you can connect to another port, or you can also switch direction. So you can switch direction to whatever direction you want to go by simply left-clicking on a mouse. So you don't have to hold down the mouse to create a line. You simply click once, and this will enable you to switch direction. So regardless of the direction you want to go, you simply click once, and then once you click, you change direction until you reach your final destination, where you will have the aim again showing up. Once you have the aim, you simply click once, and this will close the actual line. Okay, so you have now both ends of the lines that are connected, so it closes the line. So the line function is deactivated as soon as you actually click and close the second hand of the line. And then if you want to create another line, then you have to start from another port, and then you'll be able to complete this line by connecting into another port. Okay, it might look a little bit messy here, so what I'm going to do is I just wanted to show you that once the line is created, you can also click on the line. So this is going to activate what we call the grips. So we have like small handles over here, so and almost everywhere on the line. And by taking on those grips, you can sometimes move from left to right. If you're taking on a vertical grip, you can move from top to bottom when it's horizontal grip, and you can move in two directions when you're picking on a corner. Okay, so you can move and switch both directions when you're picking on a corner. So you don't have, if you have made a mistake during the creation of your line shape, you can always click on the line and change your line shape. By doing so, you simply have to activate the line over here, and then you'll be able to move on the grips and handles. Now, we also have an Automation Studio. We also have the possibility to flip components. So all of those components can be changed in layout. So you simply have to select a component. Then you go and edit, and this has changed a little bit. So you go and edit and then position, and then you can do a vertical flip. So vertical flip it is. Okay, so this is the vertical flip. And now the other way to connect this component here is to actually start from the component. So I'll be starting from this component right here where I have my connection port. Click once. So I'm attached one side. And now there's a way to directly connect on this line, and it's really simple. The only thing that you have to do, since there's no existing connection port, is to simply double-click. So this will actually break the link and create the line. So we'll be able to touch this variable relief valve to the main pressure line. Okay? Now, for the motor that I have over here, well, it might be nice as well if I insert some measuring instruments that we have. So one of the measuring instruments that we have is a tachometer. So I'll be simply looking into my library under measuring instruments. Now, we have few things that can be attached to a shaft. So as you can see, all the measuring instruments that are displayed as having two lines, they can actually be connected on any mechanical shaft connection. So we have here the speed gauge. We have one that we actually created at Famic. Since we have a speed gauge and since we have different mechanical elements such as the power gauge as well as the torque indicator, so basically we simply have created one that mixes all the three together, okay? And we call this one the mechanical multi-gauge. So this one offers the simplicity of having one single gauge into three combined gauge. So you simply can drag and drop this one into the schematic, and it will give you at once the speed, the torque, as well as the power transmitted from the engine to the actual pump. Okay, so let me leave this. Okay, I might put this lower here. Okay, and one quick way, since I said at the beginning that when you overlap the connection port, you will be attaching and you'll be connecting your line already by simply overlapping the connection port. So for attaching a cylinder like this one, it could be done easily if you simply roll over the actual component, and then if you move this again on the other connection port, and then you move this up, as you can see in a second, it was connected. Okay, so if I want to complete my schematic, I can simply now duplicate some of the elements that I have over here. Now I can duplicate the reservoir that I have. So well, there's again many ways to duplicate the reservoir. You can take the good old Control-C, Control-V on the keyboard. So Control-C, Control-V, or you can also right-click and choose Copy. And then when you're at the location, you simply choose Paste. So this is a way to do it. But the way that I prefer is to use the Control key on the keyboard. So when you hold down Control and you select a component, it could be just one single component or many components, it will automatically duplicate the component. One good thing with this feature is when you have multiple components or when you have components that you want to move, if you move these components, you will see it's going to move the screen as well, as long as you'll be touching one of the screen borders. So when you're copying a group or when you're copying one single component, if you don't see exactly where this component will be located on the diagram, if you have a copy activated, it will automatically shift the screen and you'll be able to locate the items that you are copying right where you want it. Okay? Good. So right now I am, since I have connected everything, I can even run some diagnosis. So let's say if I wanted to show you that we also have, with the version 6, we have also introduced some tools, in Fluid, diagnostic tools. So even if you have like double lines like this, if you have free connectors, if you have invisible components, etc., it will be all pointed out. Okay, so something that we were not offering before. So as you can see, I have a line here which connects from here to here. But if you put the line like this, it's really hard to see that you have an overlapping line. So when you're going into diagnostic tools, you can run a diagnostics into some of the diagrams or all the diagrams that you have. Now if you do, you click OK, and then you'll be able to launch diagnostic into some few different topics. So let's say free connectors and redundant link and maybe invisible components. Okay, so you can actually select diagnostic that you want to run. And then when you're ready, you click here. And then it's going to point out not only on the diagram, so as you can see, they're showing in a bright pink. And if you move over here, you will also have, this is also something new, in the Message Explorer. So we had the Message Explorer before, but right now there's a lot more things that we have added to it. So you have the description, you have the event ID, you have the log message, etc., and this can all be kept as well with the project. And as you can see, since I have launched the test, as you can see, I have, of course, some errors that showed up. So all of these errors can be easily traced by simply not double-clicking, but by simply clicking directly on the error showing in the diagram here, and you will have the component highlighted in red this time. So you can easily identify where you have some problems in your actual schematic. Okay? Good. So, of course, I'm going to delete those problems to make sure that my system will run clean. One other thing before I actually launch this simulation that I wanted to show you is, well, it's same functionality that we had in Automation Studio before. It's just that for those of you who ignore the functionality, you can, if you have multiple lines that are one after the other, so if you have like multiple lines that are connected one after the other, those two lines, they all have a diameter and they all have a length. So each little piece of line that you add up, it will of course influence the pressure drop. So usually it's not something that you want. So what you can do is you might want to make sure that those lines are drawn as one single line. And to do so, if you have already created both lines, what you can do is you can join those lines by simply making a multiple selection by holding down Shift. So I'm holding down Shift on the keyboard right now. And once you hold down Shift and you have those two lines selected, if you go into the Home menu, you will see that there's a join link function that activated. So if you click here, it's going to change both line into one single line. And it always takes the properties and the parameters of the first selected line. Okay, just for you to know if you ever wondered. Okay, now I'm ready to actually launch this simulation. Oh, maybe one more thing just before we launch the simulation. It's really close by. Under the well, we have the simulation tab here, and we also have put into the Express toolbar. That's how we call it. We have also put the normal simulation launching button. But you can also go into here, customize quick access toolbar. And since the version 6, you can now customize commands if you want. So you can customize those commands by clicking on the commands that you have over here. So these are the available commands, and you can add those commands in the quick access toolbar. And you can even customize keyboard shortcuts. Okay, so you can customize keyboard shortcuts. So if you want to customize like shortcuts for editing or aligning or zooming or copying or et cetera, it can be done from here. So this is something new that we were not allowed into previous versions of Automation Studio. So let me just close this really quickly. So again, in the simulation, we have the normal simulation, which is the same as this one showing into the quick access toolbar. So let me launch the simulation, and then we'll be able to see the simulation run. So as you can see right now, we have the pump flowing through the pressure relief valve. Okay, we have no idea what's the pressure, and this is something that I'm going to show in a few minutes. So we have the pump here. We have a flow direction, okay, showing, and now there's few actions that we can do during simulation. One of them is to shift the valve. So if you had a lever over here, you'd be able to shift the valve. You can also click directly on the directional valve. So you'll be able to shift the valve by forcing the spool position to simulate. So you can force the spool position to simulate. If you want to release that force state, you simply have to click on one of the commands that you have on the side. It could be either a spring or it could be either the solenoid. It's whatever you want, okay? During simulation, you can also have access to animation. It's not something new, but for those of you who ignored that we have this, you can simply right-click on any red component, and you will have access to a nice cross-view animation of this component. So you can see this cross-animated view of the component. showing. Even on reservoirs, we have one. Of course, Automation Studio was first intended for educational purpose, so that's why we have those small animations, especially for those students out there who doesn't know exactly what the pump is looking like or how a cylinder looks like, or et cetera, et cetera. So that's why we have made those nice cross animation view. Okay, you can also go into components. Into some components, you will have access to dynamic settings. So let's say if you click on the valve like I just did, you'll be able to set the cracking pressure. So you can change the cracking pressure. As you can see, the color is changing. Okay, so color is changing according to pressure. That's also something new with Automation Studio version 6. We have implemented color ranges for pressure or flows. So before we only had like few colors, especially for low pressure and high pressures. Now we are offering more than I think it's eight colors. So for different levels of colors of pressures or different levels of flow. So before it was only according to pressure, and now it can also you can also have color changing according to flow. Okay, of course on the pump you can change dynamically the displacement. So displacement can be changed right here on the pump. As you can see, of course, more flow, higher pressure, the power is also increased. So as long as you're increasing the displacement, you can see that the power is also increasing. And if you're decreasing, you can see that also decreasing, et cetera, et cetera. So you can also, in these dynamic setting box, you can also directly input the value, so 100. Or you can also, if you want, you can also, once the slider is activated, so you simply have to click once on the slider, and once it's activated, you can simply press the arrows on the keyboard, and then this way you can go one by one, or if you hold your finger on the arrow, it can go pretty quick to the value that you wanted, but 1 bar at a time, or 1 liter per minute at a time, or 1 cc per rev at a time. Okay, good. I just wanted to show you, I'll just stop the simulation for now, and I wanted to show you some of these features, new features that we have implemented in version P6. So now if you go to the AS menu, so AS menu is this one, project, and then project properties. So inside project properties, you have access to project and then properties, of course. And then into here, you can also decide what is the minimum flow to show the direction of the fluid. So the default one is 6. So you can also set this one lower if you want to make sure that you will see the animation as soon as you have a little bit of flow in your lines. And by default right now, what we're doing is we're simulating the thermal simulation. We have activated as well the cavitation simulation. So this is also a new feature in Automation Studio version 6, cavitation, and by default we're simulating the thermal. And then as part of, for the fluid systems, I was talking about the different pressure ranges. So let me save this. Okay, hydraulic standards, and inside simulation, the simulation tab that you have here. So of course this is the Famic Technologies standard, so that's the one provided by default with Automation Studio. But you can actually create your own standards. That's the way we have to handle things now. So you can actually create your own standards. You can create the standards and put them into your database. And we want to make sure that if you wanted to make sure that everyone in your enterprise is sharing the same standards, well, it can also be shared using the database. It can also be shared on an enterprise level, no problem. Okay, so this is where you can actually see the different pressure appearances of color. So for different levels of pressures, and it could also be done for flow as well. Okay, so you can also see there's different levels of flow. And now the colors are changing according to line colors that you have selected here. So you can have line colors that change according to speed, or line colors that change according to flow. So if I click here, you see you can have no color at all, pressure or flow. Okay. Good. So now, since we have started the first simulation, what we're going to do is we're going to try to collect some information out of the simulation. So first of all, what we can do is we can use what we call the dynamic measuring instruments. So we have those dynamic measuring instruments here. So it's inside the simulation tab. We have the plotter as well. So plotter, electrotechnical plotter, and as well as the different dynamic measuring instruments. So let's say these dynamic measuring instruments, they can be used during simulation, or they can also be used during edition mode. So let's say we're going to do an example during edition mode. So you can simply move over these components. Once you pick on the component that you want to collect information from, you then click again where you want to start the leader. And once you have started to create your leader, you hold your click. So, and then you move to whatever location you want to go. And once you are in a proper location, you simply release. Once you release, you will have access to different parameters. So all of these parameters can be plotted, or can be recorded, or can be displayed during simulation. So one of them is, let's say, linear speed. So I'm going to show the linear speed. And you can have many of them as well. So you can have many of them. So you can also insert another one here for the linear position. So you can also change the accuracy of the measurement that you're taking. So you can have here plus or minus 10 millimeters. Okay, you can also insert a comment if you want. And you can see that we can also record those parameters during simulation. So you can click over here. Even if the symbol right now is showing like a small cylinder, it's not necessarily on a cylinder that you have to click. You can click on any component. So let's say if I click on the hose over here on the line, so I can get out of the line, I can get, let's say, the absolute flow. So I can simply input the value that I want over here, and then you click on check, and then you'll be able to see that information showing on the diagram. Now you can launch the simulation, okay, and now of course as soon as you move, you'll be able to see those values changing. Okay, so you can see those values changing. Now, as you can see, it goes from a step of 10 millimeters on the recorded one over here. Well, of course, if you want to have more accuracy, you can simply, not double-click on the cylinder, my mistake, but you simply have to double-click on the measuring instrument itself, and then you can change the accuracy here for, let's say, 0.1 millimeter if you want. Okay, and then you'll have even more accuracy during simulation. Okay. You can also input measuring instruments during simulation. So you can simply select the measuring instruments. You move to the location where you want to get measurements from. In this case, this one is for non-measuring instruments. So on any connection port that you have, you can collect some information. So if I click once, okay, so I click once, and then I hold my click. So I hold my click, and once I'm in the location where I want to have my dynamic measuring instrument, I release, and then I'll be able to collect some information. As you can see, I can collect the specific mass of the fluid, the temperature of the fluid, and the viscosity. So let's say I'll just go with the pressure for now, and then I want to have really accurate pressure. So I'll just click here on the checkbox, and then I'll be able to directly pick on the pressure, read the pressure directly out of the circuit without even have to insert a measuring instrument in there. Okay, so you don't need, since the version 5.7, we're using those dynamic measuring instruments, so you don't even need to insert a real measuring instrument into the circuit to collect that information. And of course, once you have this, you can also use a plotter to collect almost the same information. So if you would like, you can also take some components. So let's say if I take this component here, I can have the linear speed and linear position in the plotter. So I simply drag and drop this cylinder into the plotter. And then once it's inside the plotter, you can access to the properties if you would like to change some of the properties. And when you run the simulation, you'll be able to dynamically see what are those values. Okay, so you can see those values changing, and you can also have the same. So let's say if you record this pressure sensor here, so when you launch the simulation, you will also have the pressure showing in there. But it's good to have it shown in here, but it's even better when you stop the simulation, you can even take this measuring instrument and drag this measuring instrument right into the plotter. So this way you will have automatic scaling of the pressure that you have, and you will be able to see what was the pressure. So it keeps the trace, it records everything that it has been measured during the simulation. Okay? Good. Okay, once you have traced some of that information, well, you can also keep that information. Since it was recorded, you can also save these simulation values by simply right-clicking on a dynamic measuring instrument. So you can simply right-click on the dynamic measuring instruments, and you can simply save that information right into a plot file. So pressure, here we go. So I can simply click on OK, and right here from the Project Explorer, it's going to create under a Measures folder, it's going to create a plot file, and then if you want to open this plot file, you simply have to double-click, and this will automatically reopen the plotter with at least the measure that you have taken over here that was recorded. So this way you can compare from one project to another project, or from one circuit to another circuit, the different parameters that you had during simulation. Okay. Okay, so now since we have this circuit that is not that bad, what we will do is we will try now to fix the problem that we have with the question mark over here. So we're going to do some variable assignments. And to do so, we will need, of course, to insert some electrical components. So first, let's insert some mechanical, not mechanical, sorry, but electrical components. I'll be using electrical control JIC standards, okay, like these ones. So first of all, I need a power source. And now my trick is to get on the 0 volt in there, but I simply overlap the 0 volt, then I release. Now they're both connected together, so once I have both of them, I simply take them apart, and it creates a line in between the two. Okay? Once I have this, I can simply insert what I want on this line. So for this one here, I'm just going to call this one push button 1. Okay, so this one is push button 1. So when you're prompted to give a name in here, you should give one. It's really useful to give one right now, because if you need to change the name later, it's a lot more steps that you have to do to simply enter an alias for this one, a tag name for this component. So when you're prompted to enter a name, I suggested that you enter this name right away before you continue, and please do not cancel. Make sure you will have input a tag name in there. So PB1 for this one. And then I'm going to get another push button. But before, what I'll do is I'm just going to create another line in here. And I'm going to insert another push button. So this one I'm going to call PB2. And now to use those push buttons to activate my solenoid that I have over here, I'm going to use a solenoid DC-AC that I have right here. So first one, I'm going to call this one EXT for extension. And then the second one, I'm going to call this one RET for retraction. Okay, so I have completed my whole schematic for electric circuitry. So what I'll be doing right now is I'm going to link those two solenoids to the solenoids that I have over here. Now, since we do not have any wires coming out of the solenoid over here, we cannot really connect to those solenoids that we have on the electrical side. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to create a link using variable assignment. So I'll have to get on the valve first. So you double click on the valve. And now, as you can see, I'm under the main branch of H6, so that's the name of the valve. It's item number. And under variable assignment, I can see that I have two solenoids, actually. Now, to make sure that I will assign the proper solenoid with the proper variable of the solenoid that I have on the electrical circuit, what I will do is I will click on the solenoid. This way, you'll be sure that you will only see one solenoid at a time. So as you can see, it has been highlighted in red up there. So the solenoid subcomponent of the valve is shown in red. And now, since this one is shown in red, I know that the one that I have to assign right now, since that's the way the valve is configured, I know that the one that I have to assign is called EXT. So this, you can also, this is new as well, so you can directly type in your search criteria. So mine was EXT, so I simply look out for EXT. When you're ready, you click here. So this will be linked to the item selected on the top of the window. And once you have both selected, you will have this over here that is going to be highlighted. So this is to create a link between the two. And now the created link will be shown at the bottom part of the window. So that's a new way to actually do the variable assignment, which was not into the other versions of Automation Studio, other previous versions of Automation Studio. So now that I have assigned the EXT side, I will now assign the RET side. So same thing, as you can see, I see here my input signal waiting for a solenoid to be linked to. So I'm going to look for RET on this side. So RET, click on RET. Now both of them are selected. Now I'm able to create the link between the two. Well, I was almost hiding everything, but while I was doing so, as you can see, I created hyperlinks between those electrical solenoid and the solenoid that I can find on the valve. So now I'm done with this. One of the new feature with version 6 is you don't have any close or apply function. Okay, so sometimes when you have apply, it's just a big green check mark, and when you don't have apply, it means that you don't have to apply or close. So you can simply leave this open, or you can simply close. Now, if you click on another component that also has a variable assignment, and this is also a new feature in version 6, when you click on another component that has the same branch, you will be able to see that this component will automatically be set to open on this branch, and then you'll be able to get all of that information from this component. So this is also a new feature. So this one acts as a floating window. So if you're now picking on a solenoid, not a solenoid, sorry, on a cylinder, you can see that the cylinder also have a variable assignment, so it keeps the variable assignment branch. Now if I click here, no variable assignment, so it will pick one of the branches that you have from the solenoid, from this component. Okay, so this way you can leave this always open, and you can go from one component to another component instead of trying to apply and close and then switch back to another component. Apply and close and then switch back to another component. So this is a really big improvement in terms of gaining in time. Okay, so it will speed up the process in Automation Studio when you'll be configuring everything. Okay, now that I have done the variable assignment, if I launch this simulation, well, right now nothing really works because I have forced the spool in position. So when you have a big check mark over here, it means that the spool position has been forced to this position and will only simulate this position. Now, the only way to remove that force state is by simply clicking on either commands on the side, so or the solenoid or on the actual spring that you have as well. It does the same. Now, since I have no force state right now, I'll be able to activate the extension or retraction. Okay, so I can activate extension and retraction of the solenoid. So this is how we actually create variable assignment. Now, one more thing that I wanted to show you before we end up the webinar is that in version 6, we have also the possibility to, well, as you can see, we have changed a lot the way that we're presenting the information. So all of this has really changed. By default, we're actually hiding the component image, but some component has also an image that goes with them. So you have the image showing in there, and the information is now classified. So it's all organized by groups. So it's all grouped, and you can also display the same information in alphabetical order. We prefer the default way of showing the information by groups, but if you would like, you can also have them displayed by alphabetical order. As you can see, there's some components have a lot of information, so it all depends which kind of component you're dealing with. So when you decide to go with the categories, we have grouped all of the different parameters together into a group. There's also the possibility to the user to create some new variables. So among this list, and that was something that was not possible. The only way that it was possible is under the catalog description branch, which is not existing anymore. Everything is grouped into the data, so that's why we have also changed from technical data to simply data. And now let's say you want to create a new variable. So you can create a new variable. So you can create a new variable that might be, let's say, an hyperlink. So as you can see, we have now different types and sorts of variables. So let's say you create an hyperlink. I'm going to create an hyperlink to insert an image, a picture. So let's say I'm going to insert an image. Here we go. So I want to replace this, and I want to browse, and I want to have a nice cylinder picture right here. So I click Open. So now this link over here, I can even display this in a tooltip. Okay, so I can display this in a tooltip, and why not maybe display this as well as the, let's say, ejecting cylinder. Okay, so I'm displaying this here, ejecting cylinder, and I want to display this in a tooltip as well. So now when you move over with your mouse, you will be able to see here the ejecting cylinder has a tooltip, and as well as the hyperlink. Now you can see description 0 over there. Now this is another way that you have to handle the information in Automation Studio. It's now we have the possibility to change. Oh, sorry, I want to show the details. So you can hide and you can display details, and according to the detail that according to the property that you're clicking on, you will be able to access that information. So in Automation Studio now we have a name, which is the internal name, and we also have the alias. So you can also change this to whatever you would like, and this information is going to be displayed as well when you'll move over your component. So you'll be able to access this image of the cylinder. Okay, so really easy to create hyperlinks. So for those of you who are using Automation Studio for training purposes, it is really, really useful to have that kind of information. And of course, it might not be displayed on your final print, but it's kept inside the project. So when you're using Automation Studio to create projects and create all the documentation that is related to the project, it's a really good way of handling all of that information. Now, before we end up the webinar, I wanted to show you a demo that I have here. So let me just open up the demo. Project, open project. I have a demo right here. It's a bit of a big project, so it has a lot of information inside. With version 6, we can also launch scripts. Okay, so I wanted to show you those scripts. And this demo is also intended to show you the usage of the scripts. So first of all, let me, I think I just done it the opposite direction. So let me just save this project one that I have right here. So File, Project, Save Project As, Save. Okay, I want to close this project now. Okay, so in this demo we have different diagrams and we have different views of the diagram. So we're also capable of reading scripts into Automation Studio, and that's what I wanted to show you. So in Automation Studio now, if you go into the options, you're capable of launching scripts. I have prepared a script, so I just wanted to show you that we can launch script. It's using Iron Ruby scripts. So let me simply restart Automation Studio. So I'm just going to close Automation Studio. Right now, as you can see, I have 6 tabs up there. And when I will relaunch Automation Studio, I will have other tabs that are going to be launched. So let me relaunch Automation Studio. And now it's going to load up all of those menus that I have created in my scripts. So as I told you, we had 6 tabs up there. And now I will be adding with my script, I will be adding 2 other tabs. And we can also, since we have released version 6, we can also now interface with, as you can see now, I have my company tools and training dashboard. Okay, so now if I want, I can also set a service department. So I can go here and then decide to check and uncheck my files, which was not possible before. Okay, so now I set my folder for, let's say, doing the check-in and the checkout on the network. Good. And now I want to check out a project. So I'm checking out a project. So you can check in and check out a project using this. Let me just load up the Demo 6 project that I had opened before. I wanted to show you this as well. There we go. Oh, sorry. I can even go right from here. Oops. Users, myself, desktop, Nemo, here, demos. Okay. Now, if you want to check out a project, it will be offered in the list which project are into this folder. So which Automation Studio project you can check in or you can check out. So let's say if you want to check out Demo AS6. So I'm checking out this project, so it's going to load all of the project. And then I'll be able to work with this project and make sure that I will be the only one working with this project. And we have also inserted, with the version 6, we have also inserted the possibility to translate text. So some of the text has a user defined. So in the data here, this text over here can be actually set to be translated. As you can see, it says here user translated text value. And into the project properties, there's a table into which you can translate the text. So let's say if you want to display this text in German, it can also be easily set by using this toolbar over here. So you can change from French to German to back to English as wanted to Spanish using this toolbar. You can also change the different standards by using this toolbar as well. So these are scripts that we might share with all of you guys. This is just an example for showing you what are the possibilities that you have with the scripts. One other thing that we have here is the training dashboard. So let me just close this project. I wanted to show you the demo 6, but I think it's going to be easier if I'm showing you the actual project 1 demo. So I'm just going to reopen the last project that I have here, project 1, last one that I have created. Okay, you can even create failures on components. So since version 6, we have released a branch called Troubleshooting. So you can even have like a jam piston. So I can implement a jam piston. So I can have this jam piston, and I can set this jam piston to be activated. Okay, so I can activate the failure. And when I launch the simulation, so I just want to make sure that this is saved. So I have to click on the green check mark over there. So jam piston is my failure. So when I will launch this simulation, you'll be able to see that the piston is not moving. So piston is completely jammed, nothing moves. Now you can use the training dashboard, which is basically the same as we have here from the simulation toolbar. So these over here, troubleshooting, it's just that we have created another custom menu for the training dashboard. So let's say you can use here the hydraulic tester. You can even disconnect line to test. So you can click over here and disconnect lines dynamically, like you'll be doing for troubleshooting electrical circuits. And then you can try to connect from here. You can connect the hydraulic tester. So you can turn it on, and then you can connect the hydraulic tester from the inlet to the outlet. There we go. And then you can read the pressure over there, and of course the temperature if there's any temperature change. You can even have a cracking pressure that you can increase from here as well if you want to load test the circuit. So it's a really good, really nice tool to have. You can also take this probe that we have over here to read on the speed. So you can read on the speed that you have on from between the engine and the pump. You can, of course, reset everything back together by reconnecting all the lines. So it reconnects all the line. You can close this device as well. And you can also repair. So if you find out that this was the faulty component, you can also repair this component. And you can decide to repair one of the failure. If you are suspicious that the problem might be like a jam piston, you can select jam piston right here, and you can repair the actual cylinder over here. And as soon as it's repaired, as you can see, you will be able to move the cylinder again. So to create lessons and to create exercises for students that you might want to make sure that they understand what they're doing before they actually even get to the machine, this is a really good new feature that we are offering into Automation Studio. There's the possibility to troubleshoot the circuit even without having to get on a real bench, so where you actually have all the components. I'm done for today. Hopefully you appreciated the presentation. We will be available for the next 30 minutes for questions. So let me just stop the simulation. So I'll have this kept here. So if you have any questions on what's going on, you can also raise your hand. You can chat. You can still chat with my friend over here at Suresh, or you can also ask your questions. If you had any questions, you can ask your questions. And you can, if you want, you can raise your hands, and if you raise your hand, I might be able to give you the possibility to speak to all the others if you want to ask your questions in front of all the others. So whenever you're ready, you can feel free to ask me any questions you have. So if you want to raise your hand, just beside your name, you can click and you can raise your hands. I think it's showing here. So if you want to ask a question live, you can click on this icon over here, so it will raise your hand beside your name, and I'll be able to give you the possibility to ask your questions in front of everyone. Okay, as I told you, I'm done on my side. So if you have any questions, you're welcome. Again, I hope you like our presentation. We will have a lot of new upcoming webinars. We have one next week, which is going to be oriented in fluid power. So they are going to get into details into fluid power components and stuff. Maybe some of the builders, like directional valve builders and cylinder builders. So you're welcome to and you're invited to attend those webinars. And we have one later that will be oriented into APIs and scripts, and we will also have one on electrical workshop. So we have a question here from Zayad. He's asking if he's able to actually download the manuals. So once you have downloaded version 6, let me just connect here to my account, and I will show you. So once you connect it on the portal, so this is the portal here. So when you go into product download, if you have downloaded the version from here, you can also have access to product documentation. So under the product documentation tab, you will be able to find all the documentation for version 6. We have all the guides here. So if you click over here, you will be able to download all the guides in once. So all the PDFs are listed in here. Those are the French ones, and you also have the English ones over here. So all the user guides are available through our website as PDF, and you can download them all at once. Okay, so that's where you can find the actual guides. Well, this session will be available to review online probably starting tomorrow. So you'll be able to watch this session on YouTube. We will be broadcasting this webinar event on YouTube. So for those of you who are wondering, or if you have any colleagues that missed the session and wanted to see and listen to this session, it's going to be available to YouTube, and we will also put, of course, a link into our website, okay, under the webinars. Any other questions? If you guys also have a question, you can also raise your hand.